I'm going to go back to question 16. I got cut off on my video. Real quick, I did the calculator part and the left side here, excuse me, my right side here, I've got 2.97, and that's close to 3. So if you're looking at my answers, there's a positive 3 and I had close to a negative 5, and that kind of explains why I'm picking those. And you can't have two positives when you got something on the left and something on the right of the y-axis. So that's kind of a silly answer itself. All right, let's look at question 17. You've got an exponential function, says so right there, in case you can't read. Yep. You get that in y1, y2. You go look at that graph because it should look just like this. And if you want this graph, then you use those windows. Set it to stop at 35. Set it to stop at 1200. Make it count by 100. Make these count by 5s. If you want it to look like that, then you make it look like that. That's your job. So based on this data, which measure is closest to the number of square kilometers of land? So 40 years. Now if you look over here, this is time. So I need 40 here, and I need you to go find that. So if you would type that in, list 1, list 2, list 1, list 2, that's your XY in case you're wondering. And if you would do exponential reg, and I believe that is 10. That is number 10. It actually looks like a 0, but it comes after 9, so it must be 10. So you do exponential reg, and that's regression. List 1, list 2, y1, and then it'll calibrate your equation, it'll refeed your table, and then you can arrow down and find 40 right down here. Pretty simple. If you look at your answer choices, why you'd pick B, I have no idea. Everybody's got one common, you picked the one with 3. Are we playing special today? Answer, it was like 793,068 or something like that, and 800,000, excuse me, is the correct answer, D. Question 18. Which of the following is equivalent to? Equivalent means simplify. If you're simplifying it, you possibly need to solve it. You might need to fix it. You might need distributive property. I don't know. You got a whole bunch of things you could pick from. I like y equals mx plus b, and this is not that form. So you need to keep the y on the left. I did. This positive 3x goes to the right, and remember, if you cross over, you're going to make it opposite. It is positive, it is negative, plus 6, divide by negative 4. I know I wrote that the long way, but that's okay, I always get them right. Divide that's positive, you divide that's positive, and 3/4 right there, and that's a negative, and 6 over 4 simplifies to 3 over 2, and you got to answer J. Next question, 19. This one here says table points on a graph, says linear function. So you would do len reg, list 1, list 2, y1. If you've noticed, I've got 3 flavors of list 1, list 2, y1. I've got len reg, that's number 4. I've got quad reg, list 1, list 2, y1, that's number 5. And I've got exponential reg, and that's like 10, it's after 9. Those do 3 different things. So just make sure you know what those 3 are. Len reg makes a straight line, looks like this one. Quad reg makes a parabola or a U or a happy face, and there's some that go to the side as well. And then your exponential function is like I have a half a smiley face. So anyway, continue on. Rate of change is slope. Slope is the cost of 1 per each, constant rate of proportionality, direct variation, all those fun words. So, and if I'm looking, when I type that in, I got y equals, actually I got let me scoot my paper up, sorry. I got negative 4.5x plus 3, so that's a negative. And so by default, I'm going to have to assume the positives are wrong. And that's 4.5. I'm going to assume this one here that's less than $1 would be wrong, and that one would be right, B. And by the way, 9 divided by 2 is the same as 4.5. Question 20. A store manager purchases 21 coffee mugs and key change. Each coffee mug costs this much money. I'm not going to read this to you. Now, fast version. There's 21 of them. So mugs plus coffee cups is 21. So whatever you pick here, and what do you get here? The total's 21. Can't be more. I've never seen a half a cup. I've never seen a negative cup. So these answers are whole numbers, and they're positive. And the total, the sum, is 21. No more, no less. Next, it says here you've got $8.50 for a mug, and you got $2.75 for a coffee cup, and the total's $132.50. Now, that's all perfect, and it is perfect. By the way, if you notice right here somewhere, well, does it say? Nope. This is a system of equations. That sure is a system. So you've got 2 things, and if it's a system of equations, you got y1, y2, y0. So you need to reset this and reset this one so I can put it in my graphing calculator. And since I don't have an M and a C axis, I'm going to have to recalibrate to X and Y. I said M was X and C was Y because I wanted to, no other reason. So then I recalibrated that, I made that X, that's Y, and that's still 21, so that's what it looks like. And this one here, I made that X, I made that Y. So you had to move the X over here, and you had to divide by 2.75, and you can see all my work. And then I got y equals negative 3.09x, that's a repeat, plus 48.18, and that's a repeat. Now if you just dying to have those repeats in there, you would actually type this math problem in, but it doesn't matter. I think we'll be okay. So when you put that one in, y2, you put this one in, y1, and I could label that for you. So that's y1, and that's y2. If you set that in and graphed it, I went ahead and typed that in for you. So there's my y1, there's my y2, there's my graph. My windows are at 100. You can see right there where they cross. So second trace, intersection 1, 2, 3. You see x is 13 and then y is like 7.99, so that's 8. So on my paper I wrote x is 13, y is 8. Now you need to come back up here and look. It says, what are the coffee mugs? My coffee mugs are x, and that would be explaining this. My y are my keychains. So that's why you bubbled 13. They could have asked you for the other one just as easily. Just pay attention to what you're doing. Question 21. Exponential function. Now, you can make this easier or hard depending on how much work you want to do. I'm going to scoot that up for you. Sorry, I keep moving it. I think you could take some points off of here and graph it and see what you put it in your own calculator and look at it. I use pink and green to represent. The pink right here represents x, and if you remember, x is domain. Here's your doctor ID, XY, list 1, list 2. So here's my pink. And if you notice this thing's got an arrow thing and it's continue climbing, it will spread out. So not sure on which way, how far it's going. I know it stopped at 0 here, but I don't know about this way. And my green, I know it stopped at 0 because it's flatlined, and it's going to go straight up. So the pink line, I know it's going this way. I don't know about this way. I know it's going out farther, but I don't know how much farther. Now that makes the question mark of I don't know this answer. The green one I do know. Starts here and it goes up all the way. So if you're looking through these, you can look. And remember, domain is x and range is y. So if you look at my answer choice, I pick C. Range is greater than 0, and that's true. I can prove that. Look at that green line. This one here says the domain is all real numbers greater than -4. Now I agree it is greater than -4, but what about this side? It might be more. And so that's kind of, that is true though. Less than 0, the range? No, the green line's not down here. That's impossible. And this one here, less than -4? Less than -4 is on this side, so that's impossible as well. Next question. Question 23. The sum of these first consecutive numbers are found using whatever. I'm not reading that to y'all. Now, here's my 2 cents. Wouldn't the sum be 156? So wouldn't that S become 156? So I brought this down, I replaced that with that. I see a left and I see a right, I see an equal sign, and I see one variable type used. That's y1, y2, y0. If you type that in, it'll say 12. Hard stuff. Next. And if you don't know what that is, go watch the video. 23. Which graph represents this? You have to fix it. It's got to be y equals mx plus b. That's okay. That makes this become positive. That's your -15 divided by 5. So we don't make negative mistakes. I can tell you the slope is positive, and I can tell you it crosses at -3. So that one's positive. Yay. That's a negative. Terrible. That's a positive. That's a negative. 2 in, 2 out. And it crosses at -3. That's not -3, but that is b. Question 24. The graph of x equals x squared is shown on the grid. Wish that was a little brighter for you. I'll move it up just a hair. Maybe that'll be better. A little brighter there. So what do you see? You should know that's quadratic. You should know it's a parabola. You should know that's the parent function. You should know about rocks. That's roots, zeros, x-intercepts, and solutions. If you don't, you should know. Which statement about the relationship between this graph here, this one, and this one, is true? Now, if you're smart, and like we all are, we're very smart, you put this in y1, you put this in y2, that's why I got a 2 there. And on your graphing calculator, if you toggle, go to your y equals button, those are the wrong equations, but if you go over here, you can change those. You can make them darker, lighter, and so you could definitely see, I'm going to leave that one right there, I'll show you real quick. That's shading. Let's go back, let's do just darker. Perfect. That one's first, that one's second. I can definitely tell you who's first, who's second by changing the colors of those lines. So you can certainly use that to your advantage. So back to the question. You put the first one in, you put the second one in, and you look at it. They are narrower. The answer is F. The tighter it is to Y, the more narrow it is. Question 25, sorry. It says, which expression is a factor of that? Now, remember, if you're looking at this question right here, that little squared, that is not linear. We don't have two so little square roots in linear. If you look at this kind of stuff down here, it does look familiar, like quadratics. So I wrote you the quadratic formula. If you've got two of those and that, isn't this true? Because you're missing the x's. You got the x squared, you got the negative 49, you are missing the zeros. So that's how I fit that in. Now, the other class, my class children said, oh, can't you just take the square root of both numbers? The square root is 36 and the square root of 49. Yes, you can. But remember, there's two of them. There's the positive and the negative, because you still got to get negative 49. Answer was, oh, I don't know, D. And here is the catch. They're asking for one of the two. They're not saying that's the same one. Question 26, the scatter plot. If you would insert those points into your list 1, list 2, and if you read down there, it says months 1 through 9, so you don't need that 10 through 12, so that's a lot less work if you just read carefully. So if you would, again, insert those in list 1, list 2, and turn your not diagnostic on, I'm so sorry, turn your stat plot on so you can see those points graphing, and then do linreg list 1, list 2, y1. It'll create line of best fit for you. Now that blue line is the one I use for all the points, and then the pink line I kind of made it fit better. And that's just my guess. It's really hard to estimate with the calculator is so much better. So I put that in. So I put all those datas in, and I got H. Now let's talk about silly. That's positive. Why would you pick a negative slope and this negative one? So those are out. And the answer was H. If you look at the slope, you'll see that 2.5 was correct and 3.5 was not. Next question. 27. You have f of x equals 6 parentheses 1 minus x. What is the value of f of negative 8? And what does that mean? We should all know that that means really y equals 6 parentheses 1 minus x. That's just another way to say y. Now, what does this mean? That means take this number and replace it with x. It says so right there. That's an x. That's a negative 8. That means x is negative 8. It's more of a can you read it question, not can you do the math question. So you're going to take the x out and replace it with negative 8. And let's be careful how we do that. So you put a 6, a parenthesis, a 1, a subtract. Negative 8 goes here, and then there's a parenthesis there. I did put mine in a second set of parentheses because I don't have time for mistakes. Type it in. I got 54. I did the work here, though. Question 28. I thought question 28 was a pretty darn good question. Confused me for a second, but hey, it's been a long day. Now, you've got a toy made up of cylinder rings stacked on the base as shown in the diagram, certainly. The diameter of the ring 1 is 87% of the diameter of the base, and then from there it gets smaller. That's how they stack. And I'm sure we've all played with those. Next, it says the diameter of the base is 5 inches. Which function can be used to the diameter in the rings where the ring is greater than or equal to 1 but less than or equal to 7? So, and by the way, they'll be probably kind of looking at whole numbers. Here's what I'm seeing. Don't forget one detail. These are answers. Don't skip that. That is important. Now, if it said the diameter right here is 5, so I put that in there. I went ahead and did the work. So I took 5 times 0.87, because that's 87%, and I got 4.35. I took this answer times 0.87, and I got 3.7845. I'm just doing the work myself because I need some numbers, because this is not helping me at all. So I'm going to use this one right here as my guinea pig, so to speak. That's the answer I want, so I'll put y1 as that answer. My y2 will be each one of these, and I will insert them. So when I put this is y2 and I did second trace intersection, I got x equals 2. By the way, there's a 2 there. I did this one and I got x equals 9.35. I got 0.91 and I got 1.62. The only one that gave me 2 was f. So, and that's kind of how I figured it out. I worked backwards and prove with my proof of my data. Most interesting question. Question 29. Question 29. It says, what are the solutions? Well, if that's a solution, that's going to be like rocks. Now, I did it by hand on the screen, but we had a conversation in class. You could put this in y1, put this in y2, and you will get x equals 3. Now, the question is, well, then what? What about the other one? Because there's 2. You would have to go back, create the table, handwrite it out, because you have to put it in list 1, list 2. It's not going to automatic feed, and then go back and look for the 2 solutions. And I believe the answer right here, 3 and 11. It's this one right here. But again, my y1, y2, y0, I did get 3. If you go back and self-type in that table, you can find the other one, or you can do the long way. And the long way wasn't hard, but it wasn't easy.